Si tu ne m'aimais pas, je t'aimais. Mais si je t'aimais, si je t'aimais, prends garde de toi.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody feels stereotyped, you know, in some form, and definitely being heavily tattooed, you know, you go into a conservative town or, you know, a high-class place, a lot of times they don't really receive you very well.
Not as much now as, you know, maybe 10 years ago, but it still is something that happens every once in a while, and usually it's older people, people that I don't think understand the generation that has kind of come into tattoos as a form of expression and not just a form of rebellion.
After receiving my facial tattoos, my life changed dramatically. I was living in a very conservative town, and a lot of my friends stopped being my friends. I don't think it was necessarily as a result of the tattoos, but coincidentally, it just all started happening. You know, I could see people's looks and judgments instantaneously.
The only real visible tattoo that I have is my son's name, and if you don't know what it says or don't take the time to look at it, it's pretty big, and you might just think that I have some crazy tattoo. You know, for all they know, it's a picture of a naked woman on my arm.
If you look down upon me, you see a fool. If you look upon me, you see a Lord. If you look straight at me, you see yourself. That's the main foundation behind my facial tattoos. Like, people who don't necessarily appreciate tattoos are going to judge me right away. I can see it in the way they look, or they turn their eyes. You know, I even had a mother at one point grab her daughter and like clench her as I walked past. And, you know, at the same time, someone who loves tattoos and this lifestyle, I've had people come up and be like, oh, it's so cool, da, 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 da. When really, you know, for me, it's not about that, you know. And, you know, like my father, when I went to see him last time, he's like, dude, I don't even see him on you anymore.
I think my dad doesn't appreciate it because he doesn't really understand art. A lot of people who don't understand art and what it means really won't get it, and they just see it as pointless. It's like, why would you want to get that on your body? You can't wash that off.
Pencil and paper is more forgiving. You can erase your mistakes, and paper will hold still, and you know what to expect. Whereas living tissue is different from person to person. It's going to react differently to the needle groupings, to the ink, to the way that you tattoo it. It's not forgiving. You know, you make a mistake, it's there.
If you are tattooing, you know, a guy that's in a motorcycle club and he wants his grandma's face on his back, you better make sure that it looks exactly like his grandma. And don't misspell Harley Davidson, because I made that mistake once, and that's an automatic free tattoo when a biker gets a Harley Davidson misspelled on his arm. So
I got my first tattoo on my hand here, right in between where it was nice and concealed, so if I ever never wanted it to be seen, nobody would ever know about it.
I got my first tattoo when I was about 13 years old. It was on my leg, and we took a guitar string and a vice grip and dipped it in some indie ink that I stole from my art room, and I just carved a peace sign in my legs. Adolescence.
We went and had him draw up the Metallica Ninja Star, which, if you haven't seen it, it's 4 M's put together, and I got that on my back shoulder. I was 18 years old, and my friend who got the same exact tattoo ended up getting his covered up about 5 years later, but I'm still rocking mine.
I've been a tattoo artist for 12 years now, professionally. I started doing underground tattooing when I was 18 years old, and then I moved into my first shop when I was about 20. My primary influences as artists come obviously in Baroque periods and Renaissance. You know, Caravaggio is my #1 top dog favorite artist. He had never had an apprentice. He never had an apprentice, And he had a unique style with one light source that no one could ever do. I've been to see his oil paintings in person, but also all the way through each art form, from Dadaism to, obviously Dali with surrealism. There's no way I can possibly say that I like doing color or black and gray better, because they're such different worlds, and you can spend the rest of your life trying to learn either or. My favorite tattoos to do on people have a lot of meaning. I've done a lot of military tattoos. I've never been downrange. I have no idea what it's like to get a Purple Heart or anything like that, but I've definitely tattooed things that had a lot of meaning to it. Without money, I can't pay rent. I could definitely be doing other art forms. So it's kind of embarrassing to be exploiting tattoo just for the money, because honestly, I should be working my ass off as a fine artist or a fine oil painter, and I should be tattooing only those people that truly deserve it, that the tattoo has a full meaning of their whole lifestyle.
It makes you kind of stand out. It's like an identification piece. It lets you be able to just kind of identify with yourself what you like, what you're into, who you love, whatever, and share with others.
I'm a big fan of old Ethiopian art, and so I decided to put 13th century Ethiopian Orthodox icon images on my rib panels to start like a tribute to the ancient Abyssinian race. I've got St. George on my right side and the Archangel Michael on my left side.
I think the three that are the most meaningful are my kids' names. Robert's my son, and Jenna's my daughter, and I've got a baby, Mila. Those three are pretty much my whole reason for to do anything.
I have a religious piece in my mind. I wanted to get something that brought together a bunch of different religions that represent all kind of have the same theme behind them, but they're different major representations throughout the world that we see. So I combined Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, Christianity, and Catholicism.
I've got the 9 tattoos. They're on, 2 of them are on my legs, on each leg, and 2 of them are on each arm, and then 1 on my rib cage. It has like my blood type, my last name, and that social security number, and which company that I am with or attached to. If I lost an arm, or it was just an arm, or I say that there was a mass casualty and a lot of people died, then I would like them to know which body parts were mine, so they could stick them all back in the same box before they ship me home. So.
The tattoo that I have on my arm is my son's name. It's done in blocks. That's J-A-C-K. His name's Jack. I have not told my son what it says. He just knows that it's blocks. So I'm kind of waiting until he can read it on his own and figure out and put 2 and 2 together that I have his name tattooed on my arm. It was just something that was really meaningful to me. I mean, my son is, my whole world.
I have a lot of favorite tattoos. I definitely love the portraits of my dogs on my neck. I put down the one on my left side years ago. I put down the one on my right side last March. She was probably my most favorite dog that I've ever had in my life, and it was real tough. And then the day I put her down, I had my brother do like the clouds and the heavenly scene around them. Originally I was going to get these ridiculously obscene screaming faces across my whole throat, and I was dating a very conservative girl who lived in fear of her parents, and so she was like, no throat tattoos. Well, I took that as no screaming faces, so instead I went and got the portraits of my dogs, which, at the end of the day, how can you argue with that? So
The skull and roses tattoo that I've got, it's a representation of my friends that didn't come back with me from Afghanistan. There's a story behind each of them, but the one that is most important to me is this one right here. This one's for my friend Cody Stanley. Before we ended up deploying, what had happened was I had like this ominous feeling that I was gonna die. And I was somewhere with my mom, and she was visiting this lady at her work. And the lady walked up to me out of the middle of the blue, and she was like, hey, you're gonna die, right? And I was like, yes. And it happened to be the same thing that I was thinking about at the time. And she's like, don't worry about it. God said that you're not gonna die anymore. So prior to deploying to Afghanistan 2 weeks before, they ended up changing my units, or my CAT section's job to be in support of the battalion versus going to Nowzad, which was the worst part of our battalion's positions. And Cody ended out being in the same position I was. And when they moved his cat section there and my cat section in support of the battalion, we just kind of, he just took my place. And that's how I feel. He ended up getting blown up. And I really believe that was for me, and that was supposed to be me. But it whatever reason, God like changed that. Like the lady said, she said that I was gonna die, but God didn't want that anymore.
I've never wanted to get my first tattoo covered up. I got it while I was staying with my grandpa, and he was extremely upset that I got the tattoo, and he actually kicked me out of his house. And we got into a huge argument about it, and because of what happened, I stopped talking to him for 3 years. And I know like that sounds like it would be something that I would want to forget, or you know, that would be more of a reason for me to get it covered up or removed, but my grandpa ended up getting cancer and passing away a couple days after we got there. I was able to make things right with him. You know, we said our sorries, and it was a really emotional moment. And thinking back, you know, when I see my tattoo, something so little tore apart my relationship with my grandpa, and I let it stay that way. You know, and it's just a reminder for me that tomorrow's not promised to anyone, and no matter what happens, whether it's because of a tattoo or anything, you know, you can't let the people that you love fall away from you. You know, you have to make sure that you let the people that you love know that you love them every single day. I was lucky that I made it out there, and that I had the chance to say I was sorry and to tell him that I loved him and that I missed him the whole time. I was just lucky that I got to say I was sorry. And so every time I see my tattoo, it reminds me of him, and even though it makes me sad, it's kind of a bittersweet moment because it makes me happy that I did get to say I was sorry.